Ducks eat bread.
They do. They do. They like it.
Ducks eat bread.
Where are you here?
Oh, there I am. Hey.
Where are you? Where?
Got me?
Oh boy. Yeah, walk with me, Lord, walk with me.
Come on, man.
Walk with me, Lord, walk with me. All along this Jesus journey. Walk with me, Lord, walk with me. Yeah.
Walk with my mama.
You walk with my mama.
Walk with me.
Walk with me too.
Walk with my mama.
Yeah.
Walk with me.
And walk with me too.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Jesus journey.
I want Jesus.
Want Jesus.
Walk with me.
Walk with me. Hold my hand, Lord. Hold my hand. Hold my hand, Lord. Hold my hand. All along this Jesus journey. Hold my hand, Lord. And hold my hand.
Walk with Moses.
You walk with Moses.
Walk with me.
Walk with me.
Walk with Moses. Walk with me.
Walk with me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Jesus journey.
I want Jesus.
I want Jesus to walk with me.
Say, walk with me, Lord. How y'all doing?
Walk with me. Walk with me.
Lord. Walk with me.
Walk with me.
Come on, yeah,
Lord.
I want Jesus.
I want Jesus
Walk with me.
to walk with me. Walk with David, a little shepherd boy.
That's a good one.
Yeah, you made him a great king. I know David shouted for
Hope you guys are having fun. I officially started at 8:30. I started a little early, but I officially showed my face at 8:30. Even though we've been jamming,
David shouted for joy.
still counts, right?
Oh yeah, so walk with me, Lord, walk with me, walk with me.
We gotta fade the dog bark out. We gotta respect the dog bark enough to fade him out. How's everybody doing? If you're here with me and if you can hear me okay, let me know. I did a little bit of an audio test first. Also, let me know if the air conditioner in the background is too loud. If that is too loud, I will sweat it out. So, thanks for hanging out. Got a lot to cover. It's going to be a fun one. And, yeah, we're gonna settle in. So I'm going to kind of maybe wait till I hear or see some feedback. Just that the audio is good. And then we'll talk a little Donald Trump, Elon Musk. Thank you. Plebis, thank you. Thank you for being here. Dorothy Boyd, thank you. That's what was that? That was Jerry Maguire, wasn't it? After he writes the mission statement. Who's coming with me, man? Who's coming with me? Who's coming with me on this one? Well, Elon Musk and Donald Trump said stuff. They said stuff to people, and I think the theme of this conversation will be conversation. Let me see. I put that somewhere, but I think that'll be the key. That'll be the theme. The theme of the conversation will be conversation, and I think that at least one of my thoughts after listening to a little bit of the Donald Trump, Elon Musk situation and seeing some of the like major news outlets reacting to it, clearly those people have never been in TLC. They're not conditioned for it. They're not ready for it. Of course, it was a conversation, as Elon Musk said. It was not an interview, and so of course it does what all conversations do. It goes in circles and it comes back, and you pick up themes and you develop those themes, and we'll get into it a little bit. But I thought that was interesting. I thought that was a billion people sat down and listened to a conversation. That's something. That's not nothing. So my first thought was, the egregores that this will produce, and so we're here. I don't think it's officially a attacking the darkness stream. I don't think we'll get into that. Let me know if you feel like that's necessary. Let me know, and we'll get into it. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to attack the darkness, but again, a little self-conscious about the air conditioner in the background. So let me know. I got the mic kind of right up on me. I'm just adjusting, and eventually it'll be the heater that we'll have to contend with. But thank you for being here with me. And again, anybody from the TLC, I'd love to get your feedback on this. 1 billion, 1 billion people listening to Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and how did spending time in TLC prepare you for just such a time as this? Just such a time as this, where 1 billion people sit down and listen to. Now, of course, it's Elon Musk, it's Donald Trump. They're billionaires. Thank you, Emily. They're billionaires, whatever. Of course, people are going to listen. Of course, former president, current, astronaut, space guy. I guess he's not an astronaut, but he's a rocket, he's a rocket man. So there's some appeal there, obviously. But naturally, people that are used to the mainstream bites and clips and all that stuff, because you didn't listen. Well, I could try to find it. I didn't do it to prepare, but what's up, Christian Baxter, man? Good to see you. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while, man. If you follow me on the platform formerly known as X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, I tweeted back at posted back. Gosh, I'm off my game, guys. Oh, pray for me. I actually, I sent Elon a message. Anyone have a searchable transcript from last night's conversation with timestamps? Because that's really what I'm looking for. Because he was looking for a less than an hour edit of the highlights of the conversation, and I thought that was one of the drawbacks to the spaces. Obviously, it's a lot of people. I think the peak concurrent viewers broke 1 million. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of bandwidth. And so, of course, they put their system to the test. Seemed like it worked fine, despite Donald Trump sounding like he had a lisp. And Elon wanting a sub 1 hour edited highlights of it. Hey, there you go. The reapers and the loomers have at it. But what I thought was, it was interesting that it was a space and not a live stream video. It was interesting that in many ways YouTube has some superior functionality particularly when it comes to maybe like a searchable transcript of a conversation, particularly one that's 2 hours long. Christian, it's actually fortuitous that you're here because we're talking about how 3-hour long conversations change the world, right? This shout out to Christian. That's kind of some of his philosophy that he's working off of, a la Joe Rogan and the likes. Sorry, I'm making sure I can see everything on my end. So, okay. You know what? I took a week off. I got sick. I'm sorry, guys. So I feel maybe I'm a little rusty. Anyway, show notes tweeted back at me. Posted back at me. So if you follow me on the platform formerly known as Twitter, this was, I thought, helpful. I didn't have time to really go through it. It looks like they clipped about an hour and then gave you a transcript of it. And it looks like maybe they did the next hour as well. So there you have it. It has timestamps. The conversation, was it mind blowing? Did they drop any real bombs? Not really. Felt like Donald Trump probably missed some opportunities there. Maybe they're just feeling each other out, just the way conversations work, right? I mean, I feel like anybody that's been around TLC knows this. Like, you probably spend 45 minutes warming up to the conversation, and then the next 45 minutes is really where some of the gold starts to get sifted out. But yeah, TLC was fully prepared for this. I'll get to kind of where it started. And I thought actually I'll do better at posting some of these links. I thought John from What Do You Meme did a good little post. It's quick. And you guys can check that one out. And let me make sure that worked. Okay. You can trust that link. I promise. You can trust me. The early comments about the miracle of the assassination, that's what, if we get to it, that's what John was kind of covering, did Donald Trump become more Christian? That was one of the things that he said. He said, well, of course, I just closed the transcript of it, but maybe we'll get to it. But I thought it was interesting that he said, many people, I have such a bad Donald Trump impersonation. Just ask my wife. She thinks it's hilarious. Everybody can do a good Donald Trump. Like, so many people can do a good Donald. And I'm not bad at impressions. I do decent impressions. But I can't do Trump. I don't know what it is. But he's like, everybody says I became more of a believer. It's like, well, hey, Don, like, that's not how you become more of a believer. It's not what, I guess maybe I'll check myself on that one. Really, it's the fruit, right? If people see fruit in your life and they say, man, there's something that changed in you, maybe that is good feedback to listen to. But it just sounded like he was saying, I'm a believer and I'm even more of a believer. And everybody says I'm even more of a believer. So anyway, we'll see. Okay, TeamSpeak. Okay. Is that what they were using? Is that what they were using? Or you're saying that it would have been better, the audio coming through would have been better on that? Because it was just a little muddy, slushy, whatever you want to call it. All right, so here are my thoughts. Other than just that, I felt like TLC was really prepared. They went into the assassination attempt early. That was what was on Elon's mind. And so he just asked him about it. And I thought I hadn't heard Trump really talk off the cuff about it. I thought that was good to hear from him. He did say, like, he's a believer. If you don't believe in God, if you don't believe in miracles, now's the time to start believing in miracles. And he certainly said that he felt like his faith in God, he didn't say it like that, but his belief in God was strengthened because of this. Now, I thought this was an interesting thing because it's been a month since the attempt. Honestly, at least online, what I've seen of Trump has been a little weird. Like, it's just been odd. Like, do you remember the DNC, or not the DNC? What am I saying? The RNC after the attempt. he seemed very at peace. You know, remember people were looking at his facial expression, and they were saying that they had never seen Trump with that face, right? There was a few even videos that came out, and I thought that was a good one. It was like a body language expert that did a video on this. Yeah, it was this guy. I thought this was really interesting. This sort of look on Trump's face. You saw him seemingly change. He seemed to be more at peace. I don't know. I don't know if this was like that. You just didn't. You normally saw this. You normally saw Trump like this. You know, not this. This sort of grumpy face, the grumpy Trump, grumpy Trumpy face. I don't know. I'm being bad dad jokes here. But not this sort of like whatever this was, whatever you call this, this face. And so I would have expected more from like a behavioral pattern, maybe, if he was, if it was really like, if it was like a come to Jesus moment, if it was like, whatever. It's not up to us to judge, but it's something that he said online to, apparently 1 billion people, that he's, his sort of faith has increased. So we'll see. I guess we'll see. You judge a tree by its fruit. That is how we judge the tree. Is that how we judge the tree? That is how we judge the tree. That's how we judge the tree. What's up, Alex? Good to see you, man. Hey, I saw a video that Alex posted. Good work, man. I need to actually watch it, but it looked interesting. It's on my watch later, so I'll catch up with you on that one. Yeah, everyone has an interesting take on Providence, right? And the key is to kind of have a kingdom perspective in the midst of earthly circumstances. Because the trap is, God saved my life. He's got a special plan for me. But what if you get a really bad diagnosis the day after? Oh, it's that old adage of the the man in the village who has the whole, he's got a horse, and his horse runs away, and everybody says, this is a Lukeism. Everybody says, oh, how unfortunate your horse ran away. So, we'll see. The horse comes back a week later with like 7 more horses, and they say how great that is. And then his son is trying to tame one of the horses and breaks his leg, and they say, oh, it's unfortunate, right? So you really do just move through your earthly circumstances with kind of that heavenly perspective, and ultimately try to see God's providence in it all, and from the standpoint of God is just, that He is right, that He's a good Father, and yeah, I mean, I'll confess that I tend to struggle with that sometimes, but we'll see. I hope Trump, I hope Elon, I hope everybody just comes into contact with the person of Christ, and then it transforms their lives. I mean, it's pretty simple. Now, I don't think the EU was afraid of what Trump would say. I think Trump is mapped territory. I think we know what Trump is going to say. I wonder if the EU put out that thing where they were going to try to silence it. Now, Trump hosted it. It wasn't Elon Musk hosting it. I don't know if you guys thought anything about that. I just noticed that and thought, I don't know. I guess I would have assumed that it would be Elon hosting and Trump showed up to it, but it was Trump's space that he was hosting, and Elon was co-leader of it. So I think that the sort of threat that the EU put out, I don't know that it was as much about Trump. I'm really thinking that they were afraid of what Elon was going to say about Trump or to Trump, knowing that Elon has a lot of sway. Like, I mean, I think he could convince a lot of people if what he was saying was substantive. And Jesus is a good alien. Yeah. Wow. Interesting take there. Yeah. There's a part of that I if it's the Billy what's his name? If it's the Billy Carson take on Jesus being an alien, I have to say I disagree. If it's the sense of, Jesus is from outside of our existence, and he is the Word made flesh. He has come into the world and dwelt among us. In some ways, that's true. That's true. If you want to look at a video that I did specifically on that, you can check this out. Heiser talks about that. So, Lucky Liam, I haven't seen you before, so I'm not sure if that's I'm not sure how to take that, if it's serious or joking, or either way, you can check that out. So, the idea. So sorry, I'm distracted for a second there. Not distracted. I mean, I do want to engage with your guys' comments and stuff like that. So, what do you guys think about that? Was the EU, were these people really afraid of what Trump would say? Because I feel like he's kind of mapped territory. I feel like we kind of know what Trump is going to say. Or was it really that they were worried what Elon would say about Trump, how Elon would endorse Trump, what they might be able to discuss? And ultimately, I think that they had a conversation. It wasn't, and I didn't catch the middle of it. I caught the beginning and I caught the end. But from what I caught, I'll get to the Kamala parts of it here in a second. But I feel like Trump missed an opportunity there. I feel like he missed an opportunity to speak substantively about his hopes for the future of America. Maybe that was the part that I missed. We talked about it already, that it was kind of a conversation, not an interview. These conversations are changing the world. So shout out to Christian Baxter. 3-hour conversations are changing the world. It's the dialogos. What's going to emerge in the midst of a conversation? Probably between two men who maybe are used to being listened to more than they are used to engaging in maybe like a meaningful sort of Vervaeke dialogue, type of thing. So that was a little bit weird. It's like, I'm sure like Elon is a very good listener. If you watched his interview with Jordan Peterson, I thought that was really funny because Jordan invites Elon on for this podcast, and then Jordan seems to speak for about 80% of the time, and Elon just sits there and listens. I thought that was hilarious. And kind of similarly, Donald Trump can do that. He can just go on and on and on and on and on. You can't have conversations with a politician? You don't think so? Okay, the dismantle the Department of Education. Okay, and I don't think I caught that. So that's a substantive piece of dialogue to sift through. Now, Grizz, if you did they unpack it? Do you feel like they spent enough time kind of unpacking it, or was it kind of normal Trump sort of bombastically saying, "Oh, this is horrible, and we need to get rid of that thing," and just sort of repeating himself about how horrible it is and how we need to get rid of it? Or was it like, how Vivek Ramaswamy came on the scene and he was just like point. He was like, "This is how we do it," and he's very clear. All right. I don't think I can engage. So Grizz, you got another one, but it's pretty deep, and I don't know if I can engage. Okay, I'm gonna keep going with my notes, guys. See, this is to rescue us. This is to rescue me from total distraction, and then just like a live stream being completely unlistenable to. Kick it to the States. Okay. I mean, that's substantive. I mean, we are. There was a point in our history when it was proper to say the United States are. The United States are going through a difficult season. Not the United States is going through a difficult season. See, the United States are carries with it the understanding that we are united states. We are individual states united. Again, this is sort of like an attempt at the city-states that Greece had. And yet, more as time went on, we got more and more sort of national identity, national power, and so now the states sort of need to come back and re-find their power. I think, in many ways, I think that would be something that would help us. Yeah, hit that like button. Thank you. Okay. Hold on. I'll remember. You changed the name on your channel, but I'm gonna get there. Awesome Lawson clips. That's it. There it is. Thanks for being here. Thanks for encouraging the. What do we call that? Uh-oh, I broke the game. Oh no. You just closed a dockable window. If you would like to show it again, use the docks menu. Okay, good. I didn't just like shut down the live stream or something. Okay, well, I just closed something that I didn't want to close. Give me a second. And there it is. I'm back. Thank you. Awesome Lawson. Boom. Yeah. So, conversation, TLC. We were prepared. What else do you guys think about that? What do you guys think? You think the EU was worried about Elon and not Trump? I'd like feedback on that because I haven't heard anybody really say that. All right, moving. Yeah, everybody thinks it's like Trump's the big deal. I don't know. Maybe it was Elon. And this is where the egregore comes in. So let me know what you think about Elon. This is where the excuse me. How do you have 1 billion people watching something, and not have an egregore? Okay, I guess I've got another point. Maybe I should do 0.5, and then I'll move on to one of my favorite clips in the world, and that is this clip from Paul Vanderklay. Yeah, so the EU came out and like threw the letter writer under the bus and said, "Oh, it was just off the cuff. They weren't supposed to." Yeah, it's the whole scapegoat situation. It's the lone gunman. It was just one person acting alone. They sent this warning out. They didn't check with their superior. Yeah, right. Okay, right. Sure. But we'll see. Yeah, they tend to do that. That's the quote from. Was it The Dark Knight Batman that had the Joker played by Heath Ledger? He's like, when the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat each other. That's kind of what we're seeing on some side, in some areas of the political, what do we call it? The theater. And what I mean by theater is both the stage, because a lot of it is pretend, but also like a theater of war, a landscape. Oh, did somebody actually respond? No, it was me responding. Oh, I think it went pretty good. Oh yeah, Trump sounds repetitive. Yeah, the Kamala part. I'll get to the Kamala part. I'm surprised I'm not hearing crazy end times theories about the 2 witnesses in Revelation. Anybody with that? Anybody think 2 witnesses in Revelation, like this is the time? I don't think so. This is satire. I feel like I have to put these sometimes. Like, this is satire. But yeah, a little bit surprised that nobody came out and said, we're in the end times. These are the 2 witnesses. They're not the 2 witnesses. Okay. Kamala and the egregore. What is an egregore? Paul Vanderklay. Let's see if we can. Okay, and then on the docket, we'll talk a little bit about this live stream. On the docket, we'll recap this Joe Rogan interview with Alan Graham, and we will talk a little bit about the future of this channel in light of what's going on with Ruslan. If you didn't catch this live stream from Ruslan, I did leave a link in the description of this live stream. They're just coming. They're kind of cracking down on him. So anyway, we'll get to that. But I wanted to hear Paul Vanderklay once again. And I know some of you are familiar with this clip, but once again, sort of school us on the egregore.
postulate that if you had some people in one social network, some other people in another social network, those two social networks might have these kind of internet entities that are thinking different things and are competing with each other for overall available brain space in the human population to survive.
Wow. Again, this is just straight out of the New Testament. You have principalities and powers. Or how about the book of Daniel? You've got the prince of Persia standing in the way of the angel that's trying to get to little old Daniel. Well, how is the prince of Persia standing in the way of getting to little old Daniel? Oh, shoot, did I destroy that? That one board? Their power has to take hold of it.
Here we go.
Their principality. They have a patterned way of getting to little old Daniel. Oh, shoot, did I destroy that?
Oh, I messed it up. Sorry, guys.
He's calling them echo chambers. How to convince your father or your mother or your son or your daughter or your neighbor or the citizen that is within your gates of a different perspective. You have to go through their principality. They have a patterned way of thinking. They have a patterned way of belief. Now, again, in modernity, belief is so abstracted, but they have a patterned way of life. They have a patterned way of behavior that is dominated by their principality. And the only way that that is going to change is if a stronger principality comes and unseats it. Red pill, bread pill, conversion, transformation. A stronger power has to take hold of it and exercise it. Why is it that I keep calling Jordan Peterson the unauthorized exorcist? Well, because what is he doing? He is exorcising people who have been in domination. They have had a place in the matrix, a place in the superorganism, and they are pulled from that and they are brought into another one. I mean, these conversations, this is what drove me crazy when I first started doing this, because my other clergy couldn't see because they're all dominant within, basically so deep within the church organism that they couldn't see out of it. This is all New Testament language that's going on here.
So is it possible that the Trump Elon conversation is powerful enough to unseat some people from their principality? That's the question. What egregore might emerge? And I don't always think of these in negative terms. I did a video talking about the emergence of the American spirit. Is there a sort of a spirit that is positive, that has to do with independence, but independence in sort of a more positive way? In fact, I think I used this clip. It's a while ago. And so, yeah, so the emergence of the egregore. We'll get to the other part of this clip here in a second. Let me find this video for you guys. But this was the Paul Van. This was a video I did around a similar topic, which was the Oliver Anthony song that just blew up into its own thing, and so this idea of egregore was in front of me. You know, this. Well, we'll get to it. We'll get to it here. What's up, Ups? How's it? Yeah, this is the good part. This is another good part.
So there's some talk in like very dark intellectual circles that I traffic in where they're calling these things egregores, because that's what an egregore is. Like the definition of an egregore was like a demon that manifests out of a shared belief system.
A demon that manifests out of a shared belief system. Oh, you mean like school spirit? You mean like the spirit of your church, or the spirit of your club, or the spirit of your family, or the spirit of your city, or the spirit of your nation, or the spirit of your tribe, or the spirit of your political party, or the spirit of your Discord server?
The spirit of your Discord server, that's for you, Grim Grizz.
Or the spirit of your conversation?
The spirit of the conversation. There it is. It was a conversation between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Not an interview, a conversation.
Manifest out of a shared. But now, again, we imagine... whiteboard, work like I want you to. Now, in a materialist framework, we imagine that this is emanation from below. Oh, I'm sorry, not emanation. See, it's really bad when I don't say the right words. This is emergence from below, because matter is foundational and spirit is imagined to be derivative. And so here, this egregore is what these people are creating. Now, the reason that he's saying it this way is because he is deep, again, within a modernist culture. And we don't have, it's not that we don't have language. We've banished language because actually this egregore, he had to pull it back from another source and bring it back into our period and say, oh, look, this is a spirit that is, but here's the question. Is it emergence, or has this spirit lived before? Are there, in fact, a world of spirits that are, in fact, competing against each other and vying for, let's say, remember back in the old days? Now I'm an old guy, so I remember these.
Vying for our attention. He's going to talk about how computers needed to be shared. Let's see. He does. Yeah, let me see.
And then the only question is going to be, okay, so we know we can participate in school spirit. A truly powerful leader, someone who is powerful spiritually, might turn the course of school spirit. Principals try to do that, but they actually look to students, because even in a school, the principals are limited by their standing. The students are limited by their standing. But in terms of participation and collaboration, if, let's say, the principal and the faculty and the student council, and notice that they've all developed a hierarchy, if they all get together and work together, they can change the spirit of the school. Now, we think.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that's been really frustrating for me within the sort of political thing. And this goes to the fixation that Trump had with Kamala. He kept fixating on her and how bad she is and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, all of these supposed sort of conservative commentators out there keep focusing on what the other side is doing, rather than like what Paul is talking about, which is, why don't you get together and change the way things are going, you know? So that's there's something to that, you know, is worth talking about. I don't know, maybe not. I mean, I do get a little bit frustrated with it, but it's just like, because Trump even was saying, like, if Kamala gets elected, or even, I don't think he said when Kamala gets elected, but he was getting really close, and it was just like, why are you fixated on this thing, man? Why don't you point to the thing that you have a heart for, that you want to see happen? What do you want to do with this next 4 years? If I was to vote for you, paint a picture of what you want to do, not just what this other side is doing poorly. You know, that's the danger of these sort of egregore, you know, playing with this sort of egregore thing, is now you've got 1 billion people not focused on your vision for America, but focused on this other group's vision for America. I think that's a dangerous thing.
Think of it going in this direction, which is perfectly fine. We might think of it in terms of substituting one spirit for another. Because, well, let's just think about this for a moment. There's a world of complexity and nuance out there, but when we read history, don't we recognize things? So yeah, it's low resolution, yeah, it's limited in participation, but some spirits come around again. In fact, when Jordan Peterson and many in the IDW 1.0 are anxious about what wokeism is going to do, they are worried that the spirit, let's say the spirit of communism, is going to once again descend and occupy the people.
That's it. Yeah, and if you're worried about that and all you do is fixate on it, then you haven't done anything to prevent it. You know, in a way, you've fed that egregore. You've fed that a spirit that emerges out of a shared attention, a shared focus, and 1 billion people were focused on that conversation. And I'm not saying necessarily that you like manifest reality or whatever. It's just that, man, a lot of you had a lot of people's attention, and attention is a very important thing. I mean, attention and worship are essentially the same. Like, we attend what we attend, we worship that which we attend to. Dust to dust. Good to see you. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. So let me know what you guys are thinking about this. I know it's kind of a crazy thing, but I love this. I love this video from Paul. I mean, I think I've used it a few times, but I really do think he does a good job of giving us the framework to kind of see what's going on. And of course, this whole conversation is about how these things sort of manifest online, how things go viral, how videos go viral, or in the context of tonight, what we're talking about, how something like a conversation between Elon Musk and Donald Trump goes viral. What is that doing? What is that doing in the consciousness of sort of a city or a country or the globe? I mean, 1 billion people. I mean, that's a decent chunk of the whole earth right there, listening to these guys. And so, yeah, so that was that. Let me see where I'm at on my notes. Let me know if you guys have any questions, feedback on that. Would love to hear more from you guys in the chat. I am trying to read Up's little small comment. Thank you for being here, though. EU is a supernatural Hydra-like bureaucracy entity. There's no way a lone wolf issued anything on official. That's right. That's right. It is a Hydra. It is a multi-headed. No one thinks for themselves, right? That's the idea. No one just goes out and says, "I've got a good idea. Let me issue this piece of paper." Doesn't happen. That's not the way these systems work. These sort of, the bureaucracy doesn't work that way. Grim, I'm not sure. Big T. Who's Big T? Was on the Daniel prophecy involving iron and clay today. Yeah, could be. Yeah, and Revelation 13:5 is the two witnesses. Again, I haven't heard any crazy two witness theories out there. But yeah. And to Ups's comment about the bureaucracy being this sort of Hydra-like thing, it's really interesting to hear people speak of politics, again, as the Leviathan. I mean, this is, I get Hobbes and Locke mixed up, but, who wrote the Leviathan? It's interesting to hear it being talked about like that again. Was it Locke? Gosh, yeah. Anyway, I'm distracting myself. Here we go. Back to my notes. I'm going to find them. Here we are. There they are. Merp. But now I can't see what I'm doing. I can't see the chat. All right. I think I'm back. Where are we going from here? PVK's live stream. Oh, yeah. Okay. So we'll catch up. That's kind of I think that's kind of it as far as my thoughts right now on Trump and Elon. I may look through it. I may try to clip some stuff. We've already watched a few clips. You guys want to check this out from John? I'm a little bit nervous about using other people's content right now because of the way YouTube has been treating that particular thing. But maybe we can risk it. I mean, we already kind of talked about it. I mean, I'll put the link in there. But just this idea that Trump became more Christian after that attempt. We'll see. We'll see. I don't think we need to go back to that. Covered that. All right. So then I got to hang out. So that's Trump and Elon. That's kind of the new news happening to new people type of thing. Hootie and the Blowfish. Yeah, I don't think John would copyright strike either. He's a good guy. Ruslan as well. I'll get to this Ruslan clip here in a second. But again, I think I kind of said what he already said, and so we'll move on to kind of the PVK live stream that I got to be a part of. I thought it was really cool. So if you guys, again, you can kind of follow me over there on the platform formerly known as Twitter. When Jordan Peterson, let me see if I can find it. When Jordan Peterson tweeted back in the day that he was going to be, I'm reverting, that he was going to be on Joe Rogan, I reached out to Paul to see if we could do a live stream and do a live stream follow-up. What was it? See you. I don't know if X isn't the greatest for like searching and stuff like that. But anyway, Jordan Peterson tweeted out, see you in July, Joe Rogan. And so I reached out to Paul. I was like, hey man, could we do a live stream? You're kind of the Jordan Peterson expert. I've been covering Joe Rogan. Maybe we can get it together. And Paul was gracious enough to have me on his live stream. I thought that was really cool. It was really fun. I'm not going to find it. Anyway, you get the idea. Jordan Peterson said a thing about Joe Rogan. I said a thing to Paul Vanderklay. And then we had a conversation. So again, we're back to the theme. Whoo! I guess I should be faithful here, though. I should be faithful to the thumbnail. What is it called? Elon Musk and Donald Trump manifesting egregores. We covered that. Good. Joe Rogan explores Jesus. Okay, so we're getting into the Joe Rogan explores Jesus part. Oof. That way we don't fail the Grim Grizz test here on the thumbnail and the title. And I was really interested to hear maybe what Paul said about Joe Rogan. And Jordan Peterson. I ultimately thought that, I don't know, I feel bad saying it, but I ultimately thought that the Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson conversation left a lot to be desired. And I think Kale even brought it up a little at one point in this live stream where he just said, Jordan Peterson is kind of cringe. I thought that was a hot take. But of course, Kale, at least recently, has been known for his hot takes, at least on fashion. And so we can listen to his hot takes on Jordan Peterson as well. And just coming out and saying it like that, it made me feel like maybe what I feel about Jordan Peterson isn't so far off the mark. But I do think that Jordan Peterson ultimately is inviting people into a process and not giving people answers. And I wonder if that's just his psychologist technique. He doesn't want to give people answers because then you sort of rob them of the exploration. You rob them of sort of achieving, getting that answer for themselves. And I think that would be kind of par for the course with Joe Rogan. I mean, he's like the clean your room guy, he's like, make it happen, aim up, that's his kind of thing. And so if he just comes to you and says, well, the answer is Jesus, then he's kind of done you a disservice to some degree. Now, I wonder how like kind of the evangelical, Christians think about that. I'd be curious to get your guys' feedback. Is that should we be more teach a man to fish, right? And he eats for a lifetime. Catch a man a fish and he eats for a day, type of thing. Now, of course, if you're pointing someone to Jesus, then, I don't know. I guess I'm a little torn, I guess, on that because I do feel like you should just, maybe just point people to Jesus. He is the true bread. Let me see if I can find this part of the live stream that I thought was pertinent. Let me see here. This is what X needs to do. This is why X needs to what was it? The word lapsed Catholic came up. The word lapsed Catholic came up. Our friend David brought it up It's at the 2-hour, 1 minute and 25-second mark. And if X would do that, I think it would be transformational. But this is something that I hadn't really thought of in the context of Joe Rogan, partly because I tend to look at Joe Rogan's podcast and not the man himself. I think he is certainly a part of the podcast. His curiosity is what drives it. I think he approaches things with a good amount of skepticism, kind of a right kind of skepticism. But I've been kind of hesitant to try to psychoanalyze Joe himself and his sort of spiritual quest and his spiritual journey. And I've sort of looked at his podcast more on a phenomenological standpoint, like what's going on in the heart of humanity, and how could, Joe's podcast and Jordan's podcast and maybe these, billion-person conversations, what can they tell us about what's going on in the soul of humanity today? And yet this was a moment in our live stream. Again, TLC was prepared for this Elon Musk, Donald Trump moment because, as you could see, we have been talking for 2 hours. We've been talking about Jordan Peterson and Joe Rogan. We've been talking about his sort of spiritual quest this whole time, and Paul and Kale and I have gone back and forth. But then it was David at the 2-hour mark that said, "Hey guys, you kind of missed something here." So let's listen.
How is it that Phil did not mention that Rogan is a lapsed Catholic as well? But that is a very important part of his perspective.
I didn't know that.
Is that he's a lapsed Catholic?
How lapsed is he? How far did he get?
He's Italian. He grew up
right. Yeah, I think you have to understand. I think you're totally right. And I was trying to allude to that by sort of the Boston Spotlight thing that I wrote earlier. But I think that is a, not only is that underappreciated by like rank and file folks, but I would argue even most especially the hierarchy continue to not understand the role that continues to play in the ongoing scandal and the crisis of moral legitimacy.
The growing up Catholic, I think, is very, very important. Having grown up Catholic myself, is the important part of it is that you think you already know what the gospel is. You think you've read the book, though you never have opened it.
Yeah, you think it's mapped territory, and it's actually not mapped territory.
Interesting. What do you guys think about that? You think it's mapped? Joe thinks he knows the gospel, but doesn't. Is that where we're at? Is that right? And if he thinks he knows the gospel and his curiosity lends him further up and further in, will he discover the gospel in a brand new way, right? This was the G.K. Chesterton quote I eventually brought up in that live stream that I thought was very sort of I think it was sort of poignant to the conversation of going out on a journey to discover a new land, only to find your own homeland, and yet discover it with sort of fresh eyes. And if that is part of Joe's journey, it might be a really beautiful journey. Let me see if I can find this. This quote, see, like X is a little bit, I get a little bit lost. I posted it, but man, where the heck did it go? I don't know. Yeah, and I don't feel like I do a good job of searching. Anyway, that's the idea, is that you go full circle. You go around the whole globe, thinking that you've discovered a new land, only to find that it's your familiar home, and that home is important. And what was interesting, I'll kind of catch up with this last podcast that I did a little bit, because our friend Alan Graham, I downloaded a better picture. I always do this. I sort of I point to the little thumbnail on the screen. Oh, that's not helpful. Maybe I didn't download it. There it is. So there you go. That's what the actual thumbnail looks like. What I thought what was interesting about Alan Graham is that his ministry is a ministry to the homeless. He's helping people find their way home. He's helping people find a home. He's also pointing people to Jesus. One thing that I thought Jordan Peterson didn't do, again, what I pointed out in the podcast was Joe was having a conversation with Jordan Peterson the day before Alan. Now, at least that's the way it released on the podcast. But that's interesting. That's not a coincidence. And okay, so Joe has spoken about suffering corporal punishment at the hands of nuns. He would have been 5 or 6 years old. Not a happy introduction to Christianity. Emily, if you remember what podcast that was, or maybe what interview that was where he spoke about that, I'd love to know. I'm going to go back over this Sebastian Junger video, this sort of atheist experiences the afterlife thing. And Joe does open up a little bit in that podcast about his Catholic upbringing. And you know what he does? He speaks about his grandpa, which I thought was touching. And anyway, I've got some ideas about that because he connects some dots to a podcast from about 2 years ago where he was talking to Adam Curry, and Adam Curry started looking into Christianity as he was looking at the problem of evil. And Joe, when he brings up his grandpa, just talks about evil. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah. Okay. So you heard him say it a few times. Yeah. Well, with his stuff coming back on YouTube, it might be easier to search his archives, but we'll see. We'll see. I've been resistant to sort of analyze Joe too much, but you could see that, and I'm not as sort of well versed in this stuff, but it's obviously very, like, when you see Paul's reaction to this, like, oh my gosh, Joe's a lapsed Catholic. It meant a lot more, I think, to Paul and maybe to Cale and to David than it does to me. So I'm curious to know what is the lapsed Catholic? I mean, other than like the obvious of like I was a Catholic and now I'm not, and maybe that's the point. It's like if you're not going to Mass, you're not participating in the family of God in a way that maybe as a Protestant I'm missing something there, that you're sort of outside of sort of grace. I don't know. I don't have the words, so help me out if you guys know. Even if you're catching this on the after party, after the live stream, yeah, I would love to know. I think it would help me, like as I listen to Joe's podcast and as I kind of think through why his podcast is important. Again, I don't want to go too much. I don't want to go too much into it unless Joe at some point opens up and just tells his story. And so yeah, it'd be interesting. So that was my live stream with PVK. Super grateful for that. I may, what I might do is actually clip some of this. It was 2 hours long. I might clip some parts of it and put together a smaller version of it on this channel, maybe with some more commentary, because I think there was a few other parts that we didn't exactly dive into, and we sort of touched on, but it would have been cool to kind of unpack them a little bit more. And what I usually do is I sort of pick up the pieces from this and I say, okay, well, what did I not cover in this podcast? And then I'll talk about what I'm going to cover here in the future. Again, really enjoyed this conversation between Joe and Alan. Again, conversation is the theme, and conversations are changing the world. That's what we're talking about. Conversations are changing the world. this was, and this was sort of a, I guess you could say, a sort of a semi-viral moment. Excuse me, as I try to deal with my chair, like not being helpful, my back not being helpful. Something of a viral moment for my channel, semi maybe. I don't know how significant that is, but I'm going to talk about it as I try to regather my thoughts on something that I missed here in this podcast. But as I look at my notes, I didn't write down. So this video is 8 days old and it has almost 50,000 views. Let's see what it's actually at. Can we find out what it's actually at? Give you guys a live update. So it's kind of cool. I mean, I think that, it's a little clickbaity, you know. I mean, it is what it is, I guess. Current views are for, let's see, no, not that. Where is it? I can share this, right? I don't have any, there's no private information on this. 49,554 views. So if you know about 500 other people that want to watch this video, share it with them, and we could get that bad boy up to 50. But you know, that's not common on my channel, and probably won't be, as I don't know how much more Joe Rogan I'm gonna do in the future. I really enjoy engaging with his podcast. I really enjoy building on those conversations. And I guess this maybe was one of the points is Ruslan in his commentary here. He talked about his reaction videos to Joe Rogan are being taken down. And I've always resisted that. I've never wanted to make reaction videos. I don't want to react to Joe Rogan's conversation or Russel Brand or any of these people. I guess recently it's been basically Joe Rogan. And I will. I think I might catch up with Russel Brand here in a little while. But you know, like not really. But yeah. I mean, I do enjoy doing this. I enjoy this phenomenon of participating with a new type of dialogue where in a way you get to sit as sort of a fly on the wall, you know, in the conversation, and then think to yourself, like, what would I say if I was there with Joe and Alan? What would I have said, you know, assuming, you know, I would be bold enough to interrupt them, or assuming that they would invite me into the conversation. Could I lend anything to this conversation and not just add to the noise that's out there on the internet? And I think that that's an important shift that we're seeing in culture. There is a lot of noise out there, and there's a lot of deception out there, but it does seem like a lot of people are able to sift through the deception, and it seems like a lot of people are actually making meaningful content. So not just reaction videos, but dialogue. Just like an author would have picked up a book, read it, and then incorporated it into his own writing, we're kind of doing the same thing in a podcast format, or at least that's my attempt. I attempt to do that. That being said, I don't force the issue. I try to engage with Joe Rogan's content because I have something to say, because there's something to engage with, and when there's not, I let it go. I don't force the issue. I saw that he had Adam Sandler on today. I thought that was interesting because I think Adam Sandler is also a believer. I could be wrong about that. Maybe if you guys know more. Oh man, there's a Grail Country live stream going on. Shout out to Grail Country. Man, sorry if we're splitting the feed here. There's also a Rabbit Room live stream going on. Shout out to the Rabbit Room. Say, I'm trying to find Joe Rogan here. Bear with me. Yo, I got a kid talking. So here's Joe Rogan. Here's what I'll do. If you guys are still with me this late into the live stream, yo, give me a thumbs up. Let me know you're here because I'm about to pull back the curtain a little bit and show you a little bit of my process here of what I do for the podcast. What am I looking for? I'm looking for my chat. Oh, there it is. Gosh, I'm sorry, guys. I need a third. What's the word? Monitor. because when I click off, I lose it. So, okay. If you're still with me, I don't know, give me a smiley face, give me a wave, give me a thumbs up. Let me know you're still awake. I didn't put you to sleep. So here's what I would do. I saw that Adam Sandler dropped. Obviously, he's a comedian. I like Adam Sandler. I thought Adam Sandler was a believer. And so what you do is you just go, and I'm like, I wonder if like anything that I'm interested in shows up in this conversation. So I'm going to type Bible, nothing on Bible. I'm going to type Jesus. Usually it's used as a expletive. Yeah, and so you can find Jesus all over the place in Joe Rogan's conference. But they're not actually talking about Jesus. See, I would like to talk about Jesus. We could find aliens. Yeah, so they're not talking about Jesus. And so what do I have to say? You know, two comedians talking. Pete Conan doesn't need to interject. What else would we want to... Thanks for the wave, Cassandra. Bible, Jesus, God is two. You could do Christian. Do they have conversations about Christians? Nope. All right. So that's part of my process. I kind of do sort through it. I'll probably still listen to it, but I know that I don't have to get like on it, right? I don't have to get on this one to try to like understand what they're talking about and then try to whatever, beat the algorithm and let people know that if they, you know, if they want a Joe Rogan Christian commentary, not a reaction video but a dialogue video, you know, Strange Theology is you know, you got to, this is where you got to be. This is where you got to be a part of this community because it's the best. That's the idea. That's part of the process. Maybe that's cringe. I don't know. But I usually sort of sift through it that way. And again, we'll see. I've really enjoyed, well, I'll save some of this. I'll try to do a 1 year or I'll do my 2 year analysis. So I did that at the end of my first year doing podcasts. I gave like a 1 year kind of analysis. I'll do that again for my 2 year analysis. It usually comes up in December because I think that's when I started this podcast. My first video was posted, I don't know what, I guess it says 1 year ago, but what day was it anyway? If I play it, it'll be annoying and we'll get an ad. Oh no, we won't get an ad. It's that long ago. What day? Doesn't it tell you a day? Help me out, Mom. Doesn't tell you the day. It just tells me, oh, there it is, December 28th. So yeah, I probably won't do a December 28th one, but I don't know. I'll let you guys know where I'm at because I definitely get claims all the time for using content. I don't get it on Spotify. I don't get it on Rumble, but you get it on YouTube. And I think the reason is that YouTube is concerned about people using music primarily. And so what they do is they scrub through the audio, and anytime the audio lines up, there's people out there that are going to claim your content. But it's really weird in that it does seem like people are able to abuse this system. And I think that's what Ruslan is sort of learning that. He got some strikes, actual strikes, not claims. So a copyright claim is when somebody says, hey, you're using my content and you either need to pay me for that. And so what YouTube will do is they will keep your video stays up, but any AdSense revenue that you might make on that video goes to the person who owns the copyright of whatever material you're using. A strike is like you broke the law. You're guilty. And YouTube gives you 3 strikes and then they can delete your channel basically. And so Ruslan got 2 this past week and posted something about it on Twitter, and you know, shout out to Mostly Not Working. You know, we kind of gave me the heads up and made sure, you know, I went back and looked at my channel, and I didn't get any strikes for any of my Joe Rogan content. Of course, I have like Ruslan's got 600,000 subscribers and I don't. So maybe they don't care about strange theology, which is fine. Love it. Would love for nobody to care. Joe Rogan, I don't want Joe Rogan to care about my podcast suddenly and get it all taken down. Which I don't think it would, because to Ruslan's point, and the point that I would like to make is I do significant edits. I significantly change the content that I'm using, and I'm transforming it into a new dialogue. In a sense, it's like a new art form, and I don't think YouTube has really caught up to that. I don't know if Ruslan makes the same types of edits that I do, but I try to make sure that the audio files do not match up for any real significant length of time. Because again, YouTube is using what they have, which was to detect songs being misused and used outside of their copyright. And so essentially they're looking for those audio files to match. So getting 2 strikes was pretty bad. And then he got 3 more or something. So he got 2 more. So he got 4 strikes, which basically is like, they're going to terminate his account. Now, what's weird about this is that apparently he doesn't know if it's actually Joe Rogan making the claim. And that's one thing that I have noticed as well, is that when I get a claim, it never comes from the person who owns the material. So let's say I use Paul Vanderklay in one of my videos, and then I get a copyright claim from somebody that I've used Paul Vanderklay, right? But it doesn't come from Paul Vanderklay. It comes from some other person. Now, could Paul Vanderklay be using somebody like, Superbam Inc. or whatever, one of these companies that kind of scrubs the internet for those audio files that we were talking about? Certainly he could, and certainly Joe Rogan would be doing that in order to just sort of make sure people aren't misusing his content. He would be using, so I've got Joe Rogan, obviously that's the last couple stuff, Vervaeke, I've used the Y files before, I've used Michael Heiser's content before, except in Russel Brand, and et cetera, Jordan Peterson. Any one of those guys could come into this channel and say, well, you used my content, and therefore, mostly not working. I'm glad you're here. I hope you caught the shout out that I just gave you. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, because mostly was on Twitter going like, hey, did you check your account? And we'll see. Like, and again, it's clearly fair use. It's clearly a new piece of content. It has been transformed. It's not the I don't even when I record clips from other people's content, I don't even use the original piece of content. So like no part of my process am I actually using their original content. So for an example, I will always speed it up at least slightly, right? So as I'm recording it, I'm recording a sped up file. It's been transformed. Now that's a little bit of transformation, and I've had stuff get tagged if it's just sped up and it's not sped up enough. But then I do extra things on top of that. So what I'm trying to say is no part of my process am I actually using some other person's original content. I'm using transformed content at the very beginning. At the onset, I'm using transformed content. Okay. So it's very clearly within fair use. And my channel is an educational channel. And so I think fair use really does apply more broadly to an educational channel. Now, this channel is dedicated to exploring theology, particularly Christian theology, as it emerges in popular culture. So we're learning about Christian theology as we see it in Joe Rogan or Russel Brand or whatever. Now, Ruslan is an entertainer. He's a musician. So I don't know. I wonder if his channel maybe is under the entertainment banner, and because he's under an entertainment banner, YouTube is going to crack down on him more for using other people's audio files. There's no way for me to see what he has his podcast listed as. Like if I go into the back side of my channel, I can see that I've set my channel under the category of an educational channel.
That's how we generate money.
And because we're using clips for educational purposes, there's a little bit more leeway that you can get. So the other crazy thing is that it's just not coming from Joe Rogan. It's very unlikely. So, and what I understand is then the person making the claim can actually claim the ad revenue. So it's not going to Joe Rogan and it's not going to Ruslan. It's going to whoever made the claim. That seems like an abuse. Now, maybe I don't understand. Maybe that's a part of the process that I'm not aware of. Yeah, but it seems very easy to abuse the system. Now, the crazy thing is, if you report a false copyright claim, that's against the law as well. The Copyright Claims Act, Section 506. I actually have it because I wanted to start putting it on my on all the content that I make. It says this. It says that if you file a false copyright claim, that is also prohibited by law. So if somebody's going to Ruslan's channel and saying, "Oh, you're breaking copyright law," when he's clearly under the fair use guidelines, then they have submitted a false copyright claim. That is illegal. And there doesn't seem to be much recourse on my end to point out that this person is engaged in potentially illegal activity. One, they're claiming content that's not their own. They might have been hired by Joe Rogan to claim and scrub the internet and sort of say, hey, but it needs to be Joe Rogan making the claim. Joe Rogan needs to come and say, that's my copyrighted material and you're using it and you're not using it under fair use. Therefore, it's mine. You've broken law. But when it's some other company saying, hey, that's my material, that's my copyright material, but it's not. You've been hired by somebody, maybe. But there's even like look, you guys know this. You guys know how many Joe Rogan clips channels are out there, right? JRE Academy is one. Because I look at these and I go, how do you guys get away with just like all they do is clips? They don't adjust their clips. They don't do any edits. They literally just grab Joe Rogan. They just grab 5 minutes of Joe Rogan and they post it. That's what they're doing. They're grabbing 5 minutes of Joe Rogan and posting it. And I mean, what? Oh, this is the wrong one. 4 subscribers. Maybe they did take it. Maybe they did take it down. That's the wrong one. Some of these guys have a lot of subscribers, which is crazy. Okay, where am I? So I'm kind of ranting about this, but it has been something that I've been thinking about a lot because I'm like, how is this even? YouTube needs to understand that there is a new form of dialogue happening. Just like an author can quote another author. I'm clearly giving Joe Rogan credit. I provide the link in my description. Educational history channels were having problems because they were using World War II clips. I wonder if there's maybe another part of that as well, why they didn't want World War II clips being used. There does seem to be... Ruslan Katie's channel is people. Where, Ups, can you help me maybe find where that is? Shoot, wrong. It's just under the people category. Oh, you know what? Are you looking at, you've got another website that you can kind of check with, huh? There's websites that show like reports on people's channels. I'm just not with it. I'm not that with it. Yeah, YouTube wants zero liability. They want to pass it off to someone else, and they don't want to really do the work. But you're gonna have to if you are a platform like this. So, was that a live stream that we were checking this one out. Anyway, I don't know that I have necessarily a clip from it to show you guys.
Funny. That's how we.
You kind of get the gist here. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Cassandra, is that they just didn't want the fear, being posted. Which, look, we got to be familiar with our history, right? Even if you don't like it, what else should I rant about? People in blogs. Okay. Yeah, because he's got Ruslan, KD, and then they've got Bless God Studios is another one, which is crazy. When he covers this, your channel will be terminated soon, along with any associated channels. That seems extreme, unless you resolve these strikes. But of course, you can't get a hold of anybody. You can't get a hold of anybody to resolve the strikes. So it seems like they can just take you down whenever they see fit. And so I guess probably what I'll say as I work on the follow-up to the Sebastian Younger video, you will notice that I'm editing my content a lot more. Now, I don't like doing that. I want it to flow as best as I can, which probably just means I'll have to make less content because I just don't have the time. Like, I have the time to try to edit it in a way that it still preserves the original dialogue, but is transformational enough to stay within fair use guidelines. So I don't like clipping people out of context. So what I have to do is I have to take out stuff that's superfluous to the point that's being made, which does take time. It takes time for me to sift through that. And so so I think what would happen is you just might see that I'm not able to make as much of that content, which is fine. I mean, that's not necessarily, I think we can have these conversations just as easily. I like doing it. I like engaging with these conversations. And so I'll continue to do it, but it just might take me longer, I guess is what I'm saying. It's just more of a process. So that I don't end up over here. I wonder if being an education channel is helping me right now. Yeah, I do want to preserve the dialogue. So if it gets too clippy, if it's too choppy, that's a struggle for me. You already get people coming in being like, "You're interrupting too much." I'm like, well, it's just like a normal conversation, right? You get interrupted. So anyway, shout out to Ruslan. I did link this in the description. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm about to board the train out of here. I don't have any branding, but I'll just play it in my own mind. And you guys that are familiar with the train and Grim Grizz's exit, it'll play for you as well. And so we'll just do this in the imaginal space rather than me actually having a good clip. I could probably go back to Dog Bark and let Dog Bark send us away. Or, I mean, Emily, yeah, we could have Emily send us out. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll queue up some Emily's song. Wonderful one. Well, and actually this is appropriate. Okay, right. Okay, so let's bring it full circle to the egregore thing. So, okay, so we're back, right? Why I don't want to use this platform, right? And I appreciate like this channel has grown a lot. Like I said, I was sort of covering this sort of semi-viral moment, nearly 50,000 views on a video that's a week old. This is a great goal. This 3,000 subscribers. That was a benchmark for me that I had kind of in my mind. Like, could this channel ever reach like 3,000? The next one would be 5, and we'll see where it goes from there. But we'll see, again, I kind of do this as a hobby. I do this, in part-time, in my spare time. And again, I enjoy it. And I love hanging out with you guys. So like doing more live streams maybe is another thing, but right now I could do one a week. And so if I'm going to use this platform as small as it is, I don't want to make the mistake of Trump, who, when a million concurrent viewers are listening to him and Elon Musk, he keeps talking about Kamala Harris. So you're projecting, even though it's a negative image of Kamala, you're showing me that all you have to say is about this other person. You're not showing me that you have something positive to say. I don't want to do that. I want to point to the positive, and I do think music is one way of helping us do this. Attend to that which is most important. Attend to our Creator. And I've mentioned this before, but I'm in the book of Revelation. I'm studying the book of Revelation, and I think it's an amazing book for giving us a heavenly perspective on our earthly circumstances. And I think that's why it's been revealed. I think Jesus revealed that to the Apostle John to give it to the churches, so that as the church, in whatever generation of church we live in, going through trials, going through persecutions, going through chaos and darkness, that we see we have a great high priest who has conquered that darkness, who is the light, who offered himself, and that is where our attention should be. And so thank you guys for hanging out with me and giving me your attention, and I do hope that that it was meaningful. And again, as always, like if these conversations are meaningful to you, invite someone else into these conversations, and I will catch you in the next one.
See weary, worn, restless. You know that ain't a way to live. I don't care for being right. I don't know where to lay the blame. If I never measure up, would you love me just the same? The slow burn war of attrition. No tongues are held, no holds are barred. We supply the ammunition till all we share is one big scar. I don't care for being right. I don't care if I'm wrong. I just want to understand why we never get along. And you've been slaving for the money. You say we've got bills to pay, and their mouths we've got to feed, and you don't see another way. And I don't care if you are right, 'cause it feels so wrong. Two people with this love just can't seem to get along. The years have gone, the kids have grown. The ships all passed in the night. We were rearranging deck chairs. That man left our side. We don't have to have the answers. We don't have to shift the blame. 'Cause if we never get along, I'm gonna love you just the same.